Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So Trump is mad. I believe he is really, really hot. Trump says he'll seal the border, send out the military, and now he's saying Trump says he will restrict asylum claims. Troops will shoot at rock throwers. Oh my goodness. This looks like it has gotten really crazy. But I'll tell you what, if you see the size of that crowd, it started where it was 3,000 and 3,000 swelled to 5,000 and now it is like 7,000. Oh my gosh. And on and counting. It is getting bigger. It looks like a domestic war is about to happen. I would say a domestic. The Mexican police told Trump that there were certain people in the crowd that were throwing and hurling rocks. And Trump, in a news press, was saying that the rocks are considered like rifles. They're considered like weapons. And so if you hurt the troops or the officers, he has given them the green light to defend themselves, even if it means that people are going to be shot. So this is on and cracking. And so this is nothing to play with. It has gotten really out of control now. And I foresee something very grim that could possibly happen is where some people could end up losing their lives if they come this way. Um, Not only by death by all of the walking and not having enough to eat and being exhausted and loss of water, because a lot of that walking that people do, you lose water and you just tend to dehydrate, and so it's going to get really, really bad. And then for people to be ignited violently, it just it's really sad. It's, to me, I believe it's going to be a domestic war. And so I was looking at some of the press conference, and they were saying specifically they felt a fear that some of the people were not even migrants from. There were some of them in the bunch that were from other countries, that um, from Guatemala and Honduras, and there's a fear that some of those people are Islamic radicals and that they might be extremists and that they might have a change asylum claims. So it will probably make it a lot harder for people who are not doing anything wrong to come here legally. So with 3 campaign rallies, a midterm election, and a trip to France on the books, however, the president scheduled for next week is already crowded. So the president said that he would sign an immigration-related executive order next week, but was not specific as to what it would address. White House aide had said earlier Thursday that Trump would unveil an executive action requiring migrants to request asylum at legal points of entry, preventing them from claiming asylum if they are caught crossing the border illegally. So, although the president referenced such a policy in his speech, he offered no defense of how such a plan, once finalized, could be legal, given laws presently allowing migrants the right to claim asylum once they are on the American soil. So the Trump administration has been looking at ways to limit the number of asylum seekers, with the president and his allies often describing asylums as a loophole. The Immigration and Nationality Act says that anyone who arrives in the U.S., whether or not a designated port of arrival, may apply for asylum if he or she has a well-founded fear of persecution on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. Wow. Earlier this year, Attorney General Jeff Sessions said victims of gang and domestic violence no longer qualify for asylum. Asylum was never meant to alleviate all problems, even all the serious problems that people face every day all over the world, he said in June. As Attorney General Sessions has a broad power legally. So that's how most of that has been happening. Some should some of this group of migrants do the latter, which is cross illegally, they could face a tougher and higher standard of for seeking asylum under the administration's plan. So White House aides have considered the synagogue massacre on Saturday delayed those plans. And so this right here is getting really crazy. And so I just saw the ad, the like the title. I said the ad, but it looked like a really rough title there, where it straight up said that some people could get shot if they're throwing rocks. And I guess they had a melee at the other border, the just before you get into Mexico. And then there was that whole hoopla where some of the people were rejecting. They didn't even want to stay in Mexico. Some said they did want to stay and work, but Mexico had offered, I think they offered us a stay and some jobs, but people said no, they didn't want it, and then they just rested, and then they started on their trail to walking towards the U.S. So, and to the ports, not even the ports, but to the border so that they could cross. So the wait is on, but pretty soon we will see what develops. I say this is a developing story. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel about this, because it seems like something bad's going to happen with this, is what I'm saying. I think it's going to be some loss of life. There's going to be a melee and a lot of drama that's going to happen, because it's going to get out of control. Anytime they have to deploy troops, it sounds like a domestic type of domestic war on that. Throwing rocks, and he says it's like shooting, and it's like having a firearm, and pellets, rocks, bullets. I get it, but wow, this is pretty deep. So he specifically said that he was going to have something done about it, and I believe he will. And so with that being said, I'm going to let this video go. What do you think about this? It just seems like it's not going to get any better before it gets worse. And they say he's stoking the fears, but really, when you think about it, if you look at that crowd of people that are headed this way, those people are not happy. They don't look like it's a welcome party. And I do believe somebody's going to end up seriously getting hurt. And that's the thing that's scary, is to see innocent people get hurt simply because, some people want to get mad and they want to, start throwing rocks or fighting. And so there's women and children in that crowd. And so that would be my concern, is children and the females that are out there that are unprotected. And so, they didn't ask to be in all of that. And to some of the people that aren't even, they really are trying to look for a better situation. That's what's scary, the loss of life that could possibly happen, because when you have those big crowds like that, you can't decipher who's telling the truth from those who are doing harm to others. But anyway, I'm going to let this video go. Thanks for listening. Thoughts, comment, feedback. What do you think about this? Looks pretty scary. Thank you.